Okay, friend, if the phrase search engine optimization makes your brain want to take a little nap, I totally get it. I used to feel the same way. But if I told you that SEO is actually one of the easiest ways to let your content work for you while you're sipping your coffee or doing literally anything but posting on Instagram, would you believe me? Today, we're unpacking the beginner-friendly version of SEO. No tech degree required. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Truth time. When's the last time you raised your hands for a swift kick in the pants? Well, I'm the no-nonsense type friend who's going to tell you when you have food in your teeth. So let's get right to it. This is your infusion of sacred and secular, calling you higher into who God created you to be. Exploring how intimately faith applies to every part of your life and how you can live that faith every single day in the marketplace. I felt the tension of separation of church and state. I've been one of the few women at a table of men for decades, and I've stood my ground. Are you ready to do the same? These tools, resources, and interviews are meant to do just that. I'm Jan Touchberry, and it's time to share her faith at work. Hey there! Welcome back to Her Faith at Work. If you are new around here, first of all, I am so glad that you found us. This is the space where we get real about what it looks like to build a business that is strategic, sustainable, and faith forward. Now, today's episode is going to be a little bit of a shift. I don't think I've really talked about this topic much before, but it's something that you're probably going to hear more about going into the next few episodes for sure over the next year. Today, we're talking about something that might sound intimidating. I can see some of you probably shaking your heads about this if you listened to the intro. Maybe it even sounds a little bit boring to some of you, but I promise if you hang with me, it's going to click in a big way. Today, we're talking about SEO. That's right, search engine optimization. Three little letters that tend to send the more creative women of us into a tailspin, and I totally get it. If you have ever said, I am not techy enough for that, I don't even know where to start, isn't that just for bloggers or big brands? Then this episode really is tailor-made for you because SEO is not just a marketing tool, although it is that. It's a visibility strategy that you can actually be freed from your hamster wheel of daily content creation if you use it well, okay? And the good news is you don't need to understand all of the back-end coding or become a Google ninja overnight. You just need to understand some basics, the why behind it, and a few steps that you can actually implement pretty easily, okay? So today we're going to talk about what SEO really is, why it's actually one of the most powerful tools in your visibility toolbox, and how to start using it without being overwhelmed. It really is a mindset shift, and it's going to keep you from burning out on all of the content creation hamster wheel items that we seem to be stuck on these days, okay? So before we get tactical, let me speak just a little bit to the elephant in the room, okay? If you have avoided SEO, and I've heard this, I know some of you are listening right now and going, yep, that's me, I'm raising my hand. If you have avoided SEO because it feels confusing or overwhelming, I just want to say that is 100% totally normal, okay? Most entrepreneurs, especially women in the earlier stages of their business, they hear search engine optimization and their brains immediately go, nope, nope, not doing it. That's not for me. You can't make me. We've been sold an idea that SEO is for big time marketers or bloggers or people who are super techy and know how to code things. And friend, I just want to tell you right now, that is not true. It's not true. SEO can be for anybody who wants to be discoverable. It is for anybody who wants to be discoverable. And if you want your dream clients to find your website, your offers, your blog, your freebies, SEO really does matter. It's not something that you can ignore. And yes, that's even if you're only on Instagram, even if you're just getting started, even if you hate technology, okay? It's not about knowing everything. It's about owning what you do, getting clear on who you help, and then learning how to make that message easier to find. Okay. If you can type out a sentence and use Google, I promise you, you can handle beginner level SEO. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. But first, let's back up a step and talk about why SEO even matters. Okay. So, what is SEO? Like, super practically speaking, search engine optimization is the process of making your content, your website, your blog, your posts, your freebies, and yes, even your social media easier for search engines like Google to understand and recommend when someone types in a related keyword. Side note, if you're a podcaster, you may have noticed that I didn't mention podcasts in there. And that is because currently podcasts are not searchable on Google. But that's a giant yes, or yet, okay? I believe that that's coming because podcasting is on the rise, and I don't think Google can ignore it for much longer, all right? So, unless your podcasts are on YouTube, your podcast is not going to come up in a Google search, but that's a whole nother podcast that we're going to do on specific SEO for podcasters because that is important and you should be doing that. But today, we're not focusing on that. We're focusing on Google SEO, okay? Let's just say that you are a Christian life coach for women, okay? Maybe you're working with women who are in some sort of a transition, like empty nesters. So if someone types in Christian coaching for empty nesters or faith-based coaching for midlife women, and you've taken even a few SEO steps, guess what? You have a chance of showing up in that search. Now, listen, it is not just about algorithms. In my opinion, although we do need to pay attention to algorithms because I think that's important, I believe that this is more a stewardship issue, you guys. Because if God has given us a message, He's given us a calling, a solution to a real problem. If you are the answer to somebody's prayer out there, don't you want to make that message findable? I think yes. I think yes. And here is the glorious thing. SEO is really the opposite of the content grind. All right. We seem to have gotten ourselves over the last few years in this content creation. Oh, grind is the only word that I know to put on it, but it makes me want to close my eyes and go to sleep. Social is fast. It's frantic. It can be frenetic even. You post, it lives for maybe 24, 48 hours, 72 if you're super lucky and go viral. And then it just disappears into the void. SEO, on the other hand, is slower, but it's very strategic. It's content that you can create once and it keeps working for you long after you hit publish. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day on SEO, and she was saying that she created one blog post that is still working for her 10 years later. It is still bringing in leads for her business a decade after she wrote it. And that, my friends, is all about SEO. You will not have a social media post that does that. Okay. It's like planting a seed and letting it grow roots. Okay. Yes, it takes a little time up front, but then it keeps producing fruit. Friend, you do not have to be everywhere to be effective. All right. You don't have to be loud to be found, but you do have to be very intentional. That's what I call faithful visibility. It's showing up with strategy, it's rooted in obedience, and it's trusting that God is going to multiply the work that you're willing to do, the the getting your hands dirty, if you will. Because here's what I know. When you show up in obedience, God will handle the outcome. And SEO is just one tool that he's going to use. All right? So, having said that, most entrepreneurs are spending all of their energy on platforms that demand more constant attention. All right. And listen, I love a good Instagram story or reel like the rest of you. However, social media wears me out, and it will wear you out if it is your only visibility strategy. You post and you hope your algorithm is kind, and then you start the process all over again the next day. And frankly, it's exhausting. And I personally do not believe that it's sustainable. But SEO is different. It's not about how often you post, it's about how clearly you communicate who you help, how you help them, and what problems you solve in the language of your people, the language that they are already using in these search windows to look for a solution to their problem. Okay. It's also what helps AI and ChatGPT and Gemini recommend your content, your website, your resources when people are asking questions. So it's not just Google, it's also all of the AI resources that are popping up. It seems like there's a new one daily that's popping up, right? So even if you're not trying to rank on Google, SEO still helps you show up in places where people are looking, even when you're not working. I can tell you that I've been working on my SEO pretty diligently. I mean, I'm going to ramp it up even more in the future, but I've been working on it pretty diligently at, an intermediate level. I wouldn't say I'm advanced at this point, but for probably the last quarter. And you guys, I am seeing success. I'm looking at the visitors to my website. They have risen. I am getting leads from people who are finding me in searches, which is fantastic. And that was not happening prior to my focus on SEO, even though I was on social media on a regular basis, right? So I want to turn the conversation a little bit and get really practical. So here are a few super simple steps that you can take this week, even. And you don't have to feel tech savvy to do it. All right. So the first thing, step number one, you're going to think like your client, not like a marketer. Okay. So what would your dream client type into Google if they were looking for somebody like you? What would your dream client type into Google if they had a problem that you solve? It might be how to create a lead magnet that works. It might be Christian business coaching. It could be how to set up email marketing for beginners. It could be branding for Christian entrepreneurs. Some of those are, things that people that are searching for me would type in, but you know what people are searching that you help, that the problem that you solve for them, right? So you're going to write those phrases down. And give yourself a good 10 minutes and just brain dump. They're going to be your starter keywords. And then you're going to use them in your headlines, in your blog titles, in the first few sentences of your content, if you're on social and you want to be discoverable, your reels and things discoverable on Google. You want to put those in your captions. If you're on YouTube, you want to make sure they're in your description, et cetera, et cetera. Google is going to connect the dots. The thing is that you want to try to be consistent. That's why you hear the riches are in the niches. If you can micro niche down and really get super tight on what you're focusing on, the keywords, the more you use those same keywords, the more Google is going to start to understand what keywords it needs to be serving up to your ideal client. And hello, there you are, popped up in their Google search. All right. Step number two. This one might be a little bit more intimidating. Some of you might swallow a little deep as you're hearing me say this, but the second thing you need to do is update your SEO titles and descriptions on your website. Okay. So here's the down and dirty of it. You want to head over to your website and you want to check what shows up in the browser tab when someone goes to your site. All right. That little line of text that pops up, it's called your title tag, and it's super important for SEO. It's not just for looks, it's what Google reads first to figure out what your page is about. So depending on what website you're on and how the template works when you're adding pages and such, if you don't change it and it just says, for instance, jantouchberry.com/page 2, well, Google doesn't know what the heck is on page 2 or page 5. And I see it all the time, you guys, when I'm working with people's websites. You've got to be clear about what the page name is. So it's home, it's about, it's services, it's resources, it's freebies. Let Google sink its teeth into what it is. But you also need to go one step further and put in good title tags for each page. And this can seem a little complicated, but really it's not for most website platforms. You can probably very easily Google how to put in title tags in Show It, how to put title tags in Squarespace, how to put title tags in WordPress. And you can find step-by-step videos that'll show you how to do that. But you need to put in good title tags for each page. It's the underneath behind the scenes things that Google crawls and reads about what's on your page. So, for example, my homepage title tag reads faith-based brand strategy for Christian entrepreneurs slash Jan Touchberry. Okay. So that's what Google sees when it is crawling my website as to what the first page is all about. And I have a title tag for each individual page. So most website platforms have a place where you can really easily edit this. I use the Show It platform and it is not hard, you guys. You get into the back end of your Show It site, you look over on the right-hand side and it says SEO. And you click on it, and that's where you put your title tag and your description. It's that simple. Okay. It does not have to be intimidating. It's usually somewhere under SEO settings or search appearance. And so all you have to do is Google your platform and how to add title tags, and it should walk you through it. It really is one of the easiest ways to start showing up online without doing a whole lot more. You're just making what you already have clearer and easier to find for Google and for the humans that are searching for you. All right. And then step 3, use a simple SEO tool. If you're on WordPress, like my blog is on WordPress, and I use a free plugin called Yoast, Yoast SEO. And there's another one that's pretty popular. It's called Rank Math. These tools are going to help you better write titles, descriptions, and can even give you a checklist of what to improve on every single page. They're not perfect by any means, but it is an easy way to start. They're kind of like a built-in coach that says, hey, you forgot to add a keyword here, or your description is a little too long. And most of the time, the directions that they give are totally manageable. So you don't have to feel like you need to be, techie ninja in order to use these types of free plugins or tools. All right. And then step 4, you're going to set up Google Search Console. Again, it sounds a lot more difficult than it is. If you're feeling brave, type in how to set up Google Search Console for my website. This is a totally free tool that tells you what people are typing into Google that leads them to your site. I mean, hello. It's a pretty valuable free tool, okay? You'll see what's working, what's not working, and where you can improve. Even if you only check it like once a month, it's really good data and it's totally free. So you can literally Google how to install Google Search Console, and you will get a step-by-step instructions to get it all set up. So I really highly recommend, if you have a website, get Google Search Console set up and working for you, okay? Now, I want to shut down a few common myths while we're talking about this, okay? Myth number 1, do I have to blog every week? No, you don't. Although I do suggest that everybody have a consistently updated long-form content platform, long-form content being a blog, a podcast, or YouTube video. And the key there is consistently updated, right? So one well-optimized page is better than 10 fluffy posts. So as long as you're writing really keyword-rich blogs on a consistent basis, and consistency doesn't have to mean every week. Maybe what you can do is once a month. Just be consistent, okay? Focus on clarity, focus on quality, not quantity. Consistency is the key, all right? So if you can commit to one blog post a month or one podcast per month, do that. If your cadence is every week, or maybe it's somewhere in between, do that. Just do it. Be consistent, okay? Myth number 2, you need to be a tech expert. Nope. You just need to speak your audience's language. You need to know who they are. You need to know what their problems are, and you need to know how you solve them. And then use just a few basic tools, and you can absolutely do it. 100%. Myth number 3, SEO is only for Google. Not anymore. SEO affects Pinterest, it affects YouTube, and it even affects how AI tools find and recommend content. It is way more versatile than people realize. And like I mentioned before, there's a whole other SEO for podcast oh segment that we're going to talk about in a future podcast. It's not the same. It's similar. It's not the same, but you need to be doing both of these. Okay. And then finally, myth number 4, if it's God's will, I don't need to do any of this. Well, okay, I understand what you mean, right? God brings the growth, but it's about obedience. And obedience usually involves some sort of action. Yes, absolutely. We trust the Lord for the results, but we're also called to steward our gifts well. And if we are stewarding our gifts, that usually means we're using them. It doesn't mean we have to strive, but it does mean we have to show up. And sometimes that's doing hard things like setting up SEO. Okay. So I know that this topic might still feel a little bit overwhelming, and that's okay. Know that you are not behind. You're not bad at business. You're not missing some secret ingredient that everybody else has. You're simply learning what works and what lasts. And if you feel overwhelmed, I want to invite you into something that I think is pretty special. In 2026, I really feel like the Lord is having me pivot to visibility and helping you guys get visible without feeling like you have to all the time be grinding and grinding and striving, especially using social media. All right. So I'm going to begin hosting something that I'm calling the Visibility Blueprint Workshop. And it is made for women just like you. We are going to walk through the exact steps to get found online with messaging that's clear and copy that connects. And yes, a foundation of SEO that you can actually understand and apply. You do not need to master all the tech. You just need a blueprint. You need the next right step. And I want to help you build that. SEO is only one tiny piece of what we're going to be doing inside the Visibility Blueprint Workshop. Maybe I need to change the name. That's a little hard to say. I'm just kidding. I'm not changing the name, but it is a little bit tongue-tying when I'm trying to do a podcast. Anyway, I hope that if this sparks something in you, that you will go check it out. And you can find out more information at jantouchberry.com/visibility. jantouchberry.com/visibility. And if this episode lit something up in you, maybe a spark of hope or gave you some clarity or even a little nudge that you know that you're supposed to be doing this, but haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, maybe now is the time. All right. And maybe, just maybe, you know somebody else that this could help. So would you do me a favor? Would you share it with another faith-driven entrepreneur who might need it? You can screenshot it as you're listening, send the link, post it in your stories. And if you haven't yet, will you do me a favor and go leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts? You just click on my show, scroll all the way down, and there's a place to leave reviews. It really does help get this show into the earbuds of more women who need encouragement, strategy, and spirit-led guidance. All right. Deep breath. All right. I'll wrap it up here. Remember, you don't have to be everywhere. You just have to be findable somewhere. And you do not have to figure it all out alone. You've got this, friend, and I've got your back. See you next week. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Her Faith at Work. If the Lord put someone on your heart that you think needs to hear this message today, will you just smash that share button? And if you haven't already followed the show, I would love for you to do that. Super extra points if you hop over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. That helps the algorithm pick us up and drop us right in the AirPods of people that need to hear what the Lord is saying to them today. I hope you'll come back for the next episode of Her Faith at Work. The podcast comes out every Wednesday. And if you look down in the show notes, I've even got a couple of free downloads for you that I think you will really enjoy. With that, Have a great week. See you next time.